Well, good morning, everybody. So, till now, we discussed about the steps involved in questionnaire designing. There, we have seen different steps involved in designing a questionnaire, and in each step, we came to know that how to design a questionnaire, starting with establishing the need for research, the need for the questionnaire, and then the wordings of the questions, then content of the questions, how to avoid double barrel questions, how to arrange the questions in a sequential manner, then how to avoid bias in the questionnaire, and finally, how to test a questionnaire. Fine. Now, we will see measurement and scaling techniques, which are the part of questionnaire. I told you, while designing a questionnaire, we have to decide upon the structure of questions. There were two types of questions. One is unstructured questions, another is structured questions. In unstructured questions, they are open-ended questions where we ask the respondents a question with open option. Means they can give their opinion, they can write anything, whatever they feel related to the question. Whereas the structured questions includes three kind of questions. One is multiple choice questions, means close-ended questions with multiple choices. And second one is dichotomous questions, where a question includes two options. Then scaling techniques. I told you when we were discussing it that we will be discussing elaborately in our next module. So now we will be touching upon that part of the questionnaire which is called as measurement and scaling techniques. Now let's see what is measurement. Measurement implies the process of obtaining information which can be subject to analysis. Dear friends, all of you know we measure the distance between 2 points using our geometrical scale. We use some other instruments to measure the distance between two places or two locations, and they are measured in terms of centimeters, meters, kilometers, grams, kilograms, micrograms. So we quantify the things and measure them. In the same way, in our research also, while designing the questionnaire, we need to measure the respondent's attitude and perception. In those situations, we cannot use multiple choice questions or dichotomous questions because they cannot quantify the attitude or perception of a respondent. That's what we need to rely upon the scaling techniques. Got it? So measurement is the process of obtaining information which can be subject to analysis. So we want to analyze a subject called consumer attitude. Fine. So we need to measure it. So that is called as measurement. Further, when we go for measurement of attitudes or any other parameter, one has to clearly sort out the following things. So when we need to measure the attitude of the respondents, at that time we should be very clear about the following questions. The first question is, what has to be measured? What you want to measure? Do you want to measure their psychological aspects like their lifestyle, their behavior, their attitude, their perception? Fine. Who is to be measured? Respondent is to be measured, or respondent's psychology is to be measured. The accuracy desired in the measurement. How much accuracy do you expect in the measurement? See, the psychological things cannot be quantified using any instrument. I can't say that I like Bagalkot this much. This much means how much? I can't express it in dimensions. Can I say I like Bagalkot 1 kg, 2 kg, 5 kg? Not possible. That's what the, the accuracy desired in the measurement should be defined. the cost permissible to use this measurement, and then the choices available in the measurement or data collection techniques that we need to check. So this is about measurement. Hope you got what is measurement. Then comes scaling. Scaling involves creating a continuum upon which measured objects are located. Let's take our small example or a general example. Regularly we use our geometry scale. 15 centimeter scale we use to draw uh, draw anything, is it not? So that's, if you look at that geometry scale, it involves continuum numbers upon it, and it gives you the measurements. Fine. So scaling means involving and creating a continuum upon which measured objects are located. Fine. Now anybody is having any questions related to this measurement and scaling, please switch on your mic. Any doubts or questions regarding measurement or scaling?
No, sir.
Shashank, Mohan, Gyanapa.
Nothing, sir. No doubts.
No, sir.
Fine. Then we'll go to the next slide, that is the basic or fundamental scales. There are 4 types of fundamental scales that we are using in our general life, but we are not aware that these are called fundamental scaling techniques. Those are nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. So let us see one by one with some examples so that we can understand them in depth. First, nominal scale. The numbers serves only as a labels or tags for identifying classify objects. When used for identification, there is a strict one-to-one correspondence between the numbers and the objects. The numbers do not reflect the amount of characteristic possessed by the objects. So in every classes, everyday classes, I used to take attendance, roll number 1, roll number 2, roll number 3. So this is nothing but nominal scale that I was using when your classes were running. So what is this roll number? 1, 2. These are just used for identification purpose. Not because they are wise or intelligent or clever. That's what their roll number is 1. They are not clever, they are not intelligent, they are not talented. That's what their roll number is last. It's not like that. Just for identification purpose, we use the numbers as a labels or as a tags. Got it? So these numbers does not reflect the amount of characteristic possessed by the objects. They will not reflect any characteristics. Simply a number, roll number in the college or in the attendance book. Jersey numbers of cricket players. Sachin Tendulkar worn 10 number jersey. It doesn't mean he is a 10th player. It's his number just for identification. Football player uses the numbers on their jerseys. They are just for identification. In questionnaire also we use this nominal scale in the form of question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4 likewise, and for options, option A, option B, option C, option D, just for identification purpose. Hope it is clear. These are called nominal scales. Then comes ordinal scale. A ranking scale in which numbers are assigned to the objects to indicate the relevant extent to which the objects possess some characteristic. Here it is an improved version as well as additional characteristic bearing scale, which is called as ordinal scale. A ranking scale in which numbers are assigned to the objects to indicate the relative extent to which the objects possess some characteristic. We assign the numbers to indicate the relative extent to which the object possesses some characteristics in it. It can determine whether an object has more or less of a characteristic than some other object, but not how much or less. Any series of numbers can be assigned that preserves the ordered relationship between the objects. Let us take a small example here. Rank order of winners. Let us assume there is a running race is going on in our village. There are 10 players who participated in a running race for 100 meters, and the running race started. All the participants reached the destination and running race is over. Now the organizers will announce that Gyanappa stood in third place, Kavya stood in second place, Kashim stood in first place. Likewise, they announce these are nothing but ordinal scales. Means here the object possesses some characteristics. He stood first place because he ran than faster. He ran faster than others and reached the destination first. That's what he is first. And the second one is reached the destination after the first, and the third one is reached the destination after first and second. So these possess some characteristic. In the same way, in questionnaire we use some questions. Rank the following brands order wise. As per your opinion, from the following mobile brands, which is number one, which is number two, which is number three, and you will list down the mobile company names. Something like Samsung, Lenovo, Micromax, Honor, Sony, Nokia. Likewise, you will give, and according to their perception, their opinion, they will give the ranks. Samsung has one or Nokia has two. So these number possesses some characteristics, means they are perceived as number one brand by the consumers. These are called ordinal scales. Now let's go for interval scale, which is more improved version than nominal and ordinal scale. Numerically equal distances on the scale represent equal values in the characteristic of being measured. It permits comparison of the differences between objects. The location of the 0 point is not fixed. Both the 0 point and the units of measurement are arbitrary. So, interval ratios bearing the characteristics that is having some specific characteristics with them, relative extent characteristic with them, and also give you how much they are having the weightage. Let's take the same running race example. Performance rating on a 100 to 0 scale. This is another example. We'll take the same example of running race. Third place was reached by Gyanappa with 14.14 seconds. Second place reached by Kavya with 13.00 seconds. First place reached by Kasim with 12.36 seconds. This scale help you in telling Kasim stood first place because he traveled the distance of 100 meters within 13.36 seconds. How much? 13.36. Whereas in ordinal we were telling only first rank, second rank and third rank. Got it? Got the difference? Interval scale tell you what is the number, why that number occurred, because he traveled within that time, she traveled within that time. These are called interval scales. So another example, we use these kind of scales in questionnaire when we need to ask a respondent, provide your opinion about a shopping mall on a 0 to 100 scale. 0 as highly dissatisfied, 100 as highly satisfied, and 50 as neither satisfied nor dissatisfied, 25 as satisfied, 75 as dissatisfied. If you ask them like this and they may give numbers, somebody may give 74, somebody give 90, somebody give 97. So this much they are satisfied or dissatisfied, or neither satisfied nor dissatisfied, you will come to know. So these are called interval scales. Then comes ratio scales. It possesses all the properties of the nominal, ordinal and interval scales. It is having numbers or identification. It is having the ranks. It is having how much answer, how much it is, and also it is having an absolute 0 point in it. So time to finish in seconds, that running race, clearly giving 16.1 second, 14.0 second and 13.2 seconds. So it uses 0 as an absolute 0 point. Got it? So these are the basic or fundamental scaling techniques: nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio scales. Now,
Sir,
fine. Now we'll see criteria for good measurement. So what is the criteria for choosing a good measurement and how a measurement should be? Three criteria are commonly used to assess the quality of measurement scale in marketing research or business research. They are reliability, validity and sensitivity. So what are what are these? Reliability, validity and sensitivity. Let's see one by one. Reliability: the degree to which a measure is free from random error and therefore gives consistent results, an indicator of the measure's internal consistency. A measurement scaling technique should be free from random errors so that it can give you consistent results, an indicator of the measure's internal consistency. If you are using a scaling technique, then you should use 0 to 100 or 1 to 10, and there should be serial numbers: 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. There is an interval of 10. Fine. So you are not supposed to use a scaling technique which is not having the consistent differences. So it should be reliable one. Following. Then validity: the accuracy of a measure or the extent to which a score truthfully represent a concept. We should use scientific based, geometric based scaling techniques which will give you truthful representation of a concept. The ability of a measure is to measure what is intended measure. You should use those scaling techniques which are appropriate for the required or the designated subject. Establishing validity involves answers to the following: is there a consensus that the scale measures what it is supposed to measure? For example, we use Richter Richter measurement to measure the earthquake. Daily, not daily, uh, whenever earthquake takes place, we hear the news that today the Richter scale shown 4.6 earthquake took place in some place. And we believe that 4.4 is dangerous. It is because it's a consensus that Richter measurement is universally accepted and everybody have a consensus on that measuring scaling technique. Fine. Likewise, we have a different kind of a scaling techniques called comparative scaling techniques and non-comparative scaling techniques, which are universally accepted. Everybody approved those scaling techniques, and all the research scholars are using those scaling techniques, and you are supposed to use them. Don't create or invent your own scaling techniques for designing the questionnaire. Second question: does the measure correlate with other measures of the same concept? So the measures which you take in your scale should be correlated with the other measures of the same concept. If you are using close-ended questions means, then you will be going for some scaling techniques. If open-ended questions are also asked for the same question, then the responses should be similar. That's the meaning of this question. Does the behavior expected from the measure predict actual observed behavior? Yeah, these psychological factors or aspects are very difficult to measure, but somehow the researcher has invented these scaling techniques, and we should ensure whether the behavior expected from the measure predict the actual observed behavior or not. So these are the three questions we need to answer to check the validity of the good scaling technique. And the third one is sensitivity, that is ability of measure or scale to accurately measure variability in stimulus or responses. The ability of a measure or scale to make fine distinctions among respondents with objects with different levels to the of the attribute. That scaling technique should have an ability to measure variability in stimuli or responses. It should not be same for everyone. Everybody should not pick the same mark. There should be different. There should be different stimuli placed on the scaling technique so that whomsoever use it, they should express their own, and all the expressions should be different. So this is called sensitivity. So these are the three characteristics or three criteria that we use to call it as a good measurement. So this is all about criteria for good measurement. Dear friends, today we discussed what is measurement and how a measurement should be. Then we went towards discussing what is scaling technique and what is scaling, and we discussed about it. Later we went towards the basic or fundamental scaling techniques which we use in our general or common life, and how do we use them, and later what they are called as, and how we can use these fundamental or basic scales in our questionnaire. First we went to nominal scale, understood its characteristics, took one example to understand the nominal scale. Then we went towards ordinal scale, discussed about its characteristics, and took one example to understand it. And third one is interval scale. We discussed the characteristics of interval scale, and one example we took to understand it and become familiar with it. And the last one was ratio scale. What is this ratio scale? What are the characteristics of this ratio scale? What are the advantages and disadvantages of this ratio scale? With the help of one example we discussed. And in the final part of our discussion, we discussed about criteria for good measurement. The three basic criteria which are commonly used to assess the quality of measurement scales were reliability, validity, and sensitivity. We discussed what is reliability, what is validity, and what is sensitivity. So this is what we discussed in today's class. Hope all of you are following and understood.